Hey guys, welcome to another video at Spencer's Garage. And today we are working on my newly purchased 2008 Mustang Bullitt. It doesn't have very many miles on it. It's in very good condition, but it sat for a long time in an older gentleman's garage, not being driven. So I purchased it. Got a good deal on it, so I'm glad about that. I haven't even put, the registration or license plates or anything like that on it, because before I start driving it, I'm going to change all the fluids. I've already drained the engine oil, put a new oil filter on it. I have suctioned out the power steering fluid that is in this reservoir. I'll do that a few times to eventually completely flush that out. I have drained the coolant, all the coolant. I haven't refilled any of that yet. But I also plan to bleed the brakes, change the transmission fluid, and change the rear diff fluid. And in this video, we are going to be changing the transmission fluid. So I thought that this would be a good opportunity to, make a video on this and show you guys how I change the transmission fluid. So this is the tools that we're gonna be using. First of all, the actual fluid for the S197 Mustang with the Tremec 3650 transmission. It takes mercon. The manual for the car says to take mercon. Well, Ford has updated it to mercon-V, so this is like the updated fluid. So this is what we will use. It takes exactly 3.15 quarts or 3.2 quarts. So I have a total of 4 here. And then I have a pump to where it will just connect to these quart bottles and will pump in the fluid. And then of course a 3/8 drive. And well, the ideal tool is to have a mini extension, like a 1/2 inch extension, because you just need a little bit to be able to fit to get to the fill plug. And I have one on order, but it's not going to be here in time for me to complete this job. So for now, I'm just going to use a wobble socket. It's a little bit too long for the job, but it is better than no extension at all. So I will put a link in the description, some Amazon links if you guys care for that. Affiliate links to the fluids, to this pump, and to the proper, 1/2 inch 3/8 extension that you will need to undo the fill plug. Anyways, here is my Bullitt. I hope you guys like it, and let's go ahead and get started with the process of draining and filling the transmission fluid on it. All right guys, to get started with this job, you obviously are going to have the car jacked up, and you're going to want it as level as possible. I have the front and the rear on jack stands, and I even measured it from the side skirts. It is within 1/4 of an inch of each other, the front and the rear. So you want your vehicle as level as you can possibly get it. So now we're going to go underneath the car, and we are going to find the transmission fill and drain plugs. Okay, so let's go underneath the car. Look how clean underneath this car is. It is so clean. Very good condition. The transmission though is very notchy. So, I am changing the fluids because I want them to know that they're just fresh, but I'm hoping to clear some of the notchiness of this shifter. Look how clean this sub brace is. I mean, this thing is just like brand new. Anyways, here is the transmission. As you can see right here, this is the transmission drain bolt. It is just a 3/8, so a 3/8 ratchet will fit there. So that's the drain bolt. But before we undo the drain bolt, we want to find the fill plug. Now the fill plug is right there. You can see it right there. So you can see between this tunnel right here and the drain plug, there is not much room. So it is not easy to get your ratchet in between there. And also there is it's like a little hump right here on the transmission that comes out. So it's really difficult to get a ratchet, straight on that fill plug. So like I said, I will link the proper small extension that will help you in that area in the description. But for me, I don't have it today. I do have it on order, but I don't have it today. So I'm going to try my wobble socket. It's probably not the best, but I believe it will work for today. So I'm going to try to get my 3/8 with the wobble socket on there. Let's see if we can get that fill plug undone first. And then that way, number one, you want to make sure that the fill plug will undo before you drain all the fluid out, because if you are needing to drive your car immediately, then, well, you won't have transmission fluid and you may be stranded. So you obviously want to see if you can get that out first. Also, another reason, whenever I change transmission fluids, I always like to make sure that the fill plug is open first, because usually, not all the time, but usually that makes it to where whenever you undo the drain plug, the transmission fluid doesn't like guzzle out. Like it'll just like, it won't flow smoothly. It'll just kind of guzzle out, and it will make more of a mess than not. All right, guys, so just to give you a visual right there, you can see I have it in there. You can see that there's not much space. Even this little wobble socket is a little bit too big. Like I said, the ideal size is about 1/2 inch extension, but we'll see if this works. And I'm gonna try to bust this loose. It's gonna be difficult to get the proper torque on this wobble socket, but I'll give it a try. Oh, there we go. So you have to try to keep that wobble socket as straight as possible in order for that to work, or else it just won't apply enough torque. All right, now that I have it busted loose, I'm just unscrewing it with my fingers. You can take it out. There it is. That's all what it is. Okay, now that we have the fill plug out, now we can set that aside. Now we can use our regular 3/8 ratchet and get our drain, make sure we have our drain pan, and then we can finally drain the fluid. Okay guys, I just have my 3/8 ratchet on this drain plug, so let's bust it loose. Oh, there we go. Then I'm gonna try to do this by hand. Now, this could come chugging out, could make a big mess. Hopefully it doesn't, we'll see. Woo! I call that a success. I mean, it got in my hand, but that's pretty typical. At least it's not chugging out. So I would definitely say, if you don't want it to chug and, you know, splash everywhere, spin around, you know, basically make a huge mess, don't just loosen the fill plug, remove it. You want airflow. You want it to be able to flow smoothly. So the trick is undo the fill plug all the way. All right, so I'm gonna give this a little while, let this come to a drip. All right guys, I'm putting back in the drain bolt. It has finished dripping. This drain bolt gets torqued down to 20 foot-pounds. So I've got my 3/8 torque wrench here. There we go. All right guys, just a note here, these Ford Motorcraft mercon-V bottles, they have a larger than normal you know, cap here. So my pump that I usually use on manual transmission fluid, it did not fit, so I had to go to the auto parts store to buy this one. This one looks like it actually fit both the smaller kind and the larger kind. So anyways, I'll have a pump in the description of the video that actually fits this type of bottle right here. Okay guys, you can see I have the hose in the fill plug right there. I have my bottle right here, and all we are going to do is just pump this in. Now, as I said before, this takes exactly 3.15 quarts, but I do want to say that, well, first of all, by the way, I probably should have mentioned this in the beginning of the video, but Ford recommends that you have the transmission warm. So you may want to go for a little drive, get the car up to temperature, and then drain the fluid. It'll drain a little bit better that way. Anyways, other than that, you want to try to put precisely 3.15 or, you know, 3.2 quarts into the transmission. And another way to check it is make a little makeshift dipstick. You can make it out of like a zip tie, or maybe like an old bread, you know, tie, and then just kind of bend it down exactly 1/2 inch and then kind of dip it in there like a dipstick. I currently don't have that made up because I'm first going to put 3 quarts in there, and then I'll go from there. But basically, you do not overfill these transmissions until they bleed out. What you do is you fill it until it is 1/2 inch from the top of the drain fill hole there. So 1/2 inch below, that's whenever you know that you have full capacity. Or I'm thinking of, you know, just measure out exactly 3.15 quarts and put it in there. But that is the proper way to do it from the service manual. Anyways, I'm gonna get to pumping 3.15 quarts in there. All right, guys, I put the full 3.15 quarts inside the transmission. So now I'm just going to put the fill plug back in. Now, as I was saying earlier, you can get like a zip tie and make it to where like a 1/2 inch of it is curved and then just put it in there as like a dipstick for this. But I find I just put in 3 quarts and then, you know, like 150 milliliters after that. And that is the manufactured specified amount. So that's just what I do. I just put in the exact amount. Also, whenever I drained the old fluid out, I put it in a container and it was just over 3 quarts. So, you know, I know that for sure that that is the amount that came out. So I am sure that I put in the correct amount. So anyways, I'm going to try to screw this fill plug in and then we can torque it down. We're going to torque the fill plug to 18 foot-pounds. That's right. The drain bolt is 20 and the fill plug is 18 foot-pounds. Let's listen for that click. There we go. 18 foot-pounds. All right, guys, that is it for changing the transmission fluid for my 2008 Mustang Bullitt 5-speed manual transmission. So if this video helped you out in any way, please give me a big thumbs up. And now I need to change the rear differential fluid, so be looking out for that video. Thanks, guys. Take care.